Okay.
The Wavell Starr Show is proudly brought to you by the 306 Shop located at 2322 9th Avenue North in Regina, Saskatchewan. As you can see, they have made the brand new Wavell 306 shirts. And if you want one, you can hit me up or you can head on down to 2322 9th Avenue North to the 306 Shop. Hey, welcome to the Wavell Starr Show. I'm your host, the First Nation sensation, Wavell Starr, coming to you Facebook Live with the debut edition of Ladies' Night. Tonight with us, we have from the Spring Spirit podcast, Sekwun Ahenakew. How's it going, Sekwun? And where are you joining us from this evening?
And say Nawago Magantik, Sekwun Ahenakew, and I'm coming from the Ahenakew First Nation.
Right on, Sekwun. We also have barrel racer Sonya Taypotat, dodging horse. Good evening, Sonya. Where are you joining us from this evening?
I am joining live from the Tsuut'ina Nation near Calgary, Alberta. Thank you for having me.
For sure. Last but not least, joining us is Indigenous storyteller at CBC Saskatchewan, Kerry Benjoe. What's up, Kerry? How are you doing tonight?
I'm just trying to manage the heat in my home in Regina.
Yeah, I got the air conditioning blasting in the background as well. A little bit of a sunburn going, but nice to see some summer type weather. So with that, let's get right into it. I've got a bunch of a bunch of questions for the panel. I'm also going to open up the comments on the sidebar. So if anybody out there watching this broadcast has any questions for a panel this evening, please feel free to post them and we will post them to the panel. So we will start right off the bat here with Sekwun, and then we will go to Sonya and then to Kerry. So everybody has an underlying motivation for why they do what they do. What is yours, Sekwun?
Hey, I'm a teacher by trade. I know, boring, but I make it fun. So what energizes me in my field? The aha moments. I know it's starting to become cliche, but when you're teaching and you say something that inspires and you see that in the eyes of the youth, that's the aha moment, and that's what drives me.
Yeah, no, I gotta agree with you on that one. I get some of the same thing from coaching Indigenous hockey. Sonya, how about you?
Oh gosh, being an educator myself, I would have to agree with Sekwun. When those minds are sponges and they take in and reap like whatever you say to them. So teachers have the most important job, I believe, for our First Nations children. They're our motivators, our inspirers. Like when they look up to you, you're the role model that they spend most of your days with. So I believe the children give me energy and it just inspires and motivates me to do more. But I know I am actually going on a different path this year, and I'm taking a break from teaching and doing something that I've always wanted to do. So will that come up later, or should I share now?
I think you're going to have to share now. Hello, you can't just leave us hanging.
Now I want to know.
Keep you in suspense. Yeah, so my whole passion is children and motivating them and inspiring them to be the best they can be. But I too need to motivate myself and be the best that I can be as well, and still move forward and be able to tell and share those stories for children to come. And so I decided to take a break from teaching this year and go and rodeo, go and barrel race. Yeah. So we are heading out June 14th for 2 weeks to hit up the INFR tour. And then come October, we are going to head down and live the Arizona life and hit the WPA Women's Professional Circuit. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I got the goosebumps. Sonya, you make me want to go get my wrestling boots.
Right?
I'm serious. I'm so used to moving, and this sitting still through this pandemic has been the worst.
Yes.
Good answer.
Yes, thank you. I'm pretty excited, and my daughter's coming with me, so it's going to be a mother-daughter adventure. So I'm pretty excited.
Awesome.
Nice. That's a great answer. How about you, Kerry?
What keeps me motivated in my field of work? Being a journalist, I'm one of the only Indigenous storytellers. So what keeps me motivated is bringing to light stories that otherwise would not have been told, and bringing them to an audience that never had access to them, and educating and providing history and content, and really building that bridge between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, and showing them the other side of who we are, the positive stories, stories of triumph, and our humanity. So being able to bring those stories forward is what keeps me in the business. It's been 20 years and I'm still here. So
Fantastic. And also, Kerry, I mentioned to you the other day, and I'll say to you again, I absolutely loved the post that you made for the past few years about the National Indigenous History Month. And over the years, they've gotten more and more extensive. And last year, it was really, really good. And I hope that you would be willing to share that kind of information again, because some of us look to you for that, and you're doing a great job. I'll put in a request once again. Okay, we'll move on to the next question here. What are some of the personal sacrifices that you have had to make? Sekwun.
Ooh. I have a story that kind of goes up, or no. It goes down and then up. Okay. So I worked at a community where I was genuinely amazing, and I put in a request a year in advance to take a class in Hawaii, and I was denied my request, but I went and I resigned. I'm like, you're not going to stop me from getting my master's degree. I went and I resigned, and then being in Hawaii, that's like categorized as being in the USA. I turned my data on for a second, and it was 5 hours. I was like, my classmates were telling me, like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You have no job when you get home. I'm like, I don't know. It was kind of those moments where you just jump off the cliff and you fly. 5 hours later, I had a job. I had a job request. Sekwun, we need you. We want you. Come here. And I was like, yeah.
Meant to be.
It was meant to be. It was kismet, absolutely. So, yeah. That's my greatest risk that I've taken.
Nice. Okay. Sonya, what are some of the personal sacrifices you've had to make?
Well, I think I go along with Sekwun's there, because teaching is a profession. It's my career. It's how I make my income and my money. So I had a friend ask me, she said, well, how much do you make every 2 weeks or a year? And I can't remember her question exactly, but I said, you know what? The point of the matter is I'm going out to be able to chase some goals and dreams of mine, and I'm sacrificing my income, to go out and do that. And racing isn't cheap. So, so I'm going to manage somehow, some way, but I'm going to make it work and being able to do that. So I'm sacrificing, I guess, my job to go out and make this work. Yeah. So hopefully I can inspire some other young girls out there who want to go out and do the same thing. And, so that's a big sacrifice.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes you just have to set your goal and just follow through, right? And I totally know that story. How about you, Kerry? What are some of the personal sacrifices that you've had to make?
Oh, I've made a lot, let me tell you. Probably one of the biggest ones was the breakdown of my marriage. I basically chose my job because my husband wanted me to be the little girl he married and stay home and not pursue my career. But I knew that this was where I was supposed to be. And I ended a 17-year marriage and went on to become a single mother and raise my kids. My daughter still remembers being in the newsroom. I would pick her up after school and she would sit in the newsroom. There was a little space and she would color, doodle until I was finished work. So my career at the leader post my youngest daughter Johnny came along with me. So that was one sacrifice. But at the same time, I really needed to show her that you need to follow your dreams, you need to follow your heart, and not let anything stand in your way. And so I continue to press that message. And yeah, that's probably my biggest sacrifice. I could have had a cushy little life and had just stayed home and not done anything, but that wasn't me.
Yeah, no, I call that the lowest common denominator lifestyle, and don't ever want to be one of those people for sure. So, on to the next question, Sekwun. Name a woman that has inspired you the most. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, she's still on mute.
You're on mute, Sekwun. There you go.
So what popped for me when you said that was next door. I live in a taco group, and my neighbors are the Big River First Nation, and home of the Whitefish Juniors. And
Yes,
if
absolutely,
you know what
for sure.
that means, yeah.
Yep.
There's a lady there, and her name is Sylvia McAdam. Sylvia is amazing, and I absolutely love her. I absolutely love what she stands for, and her Nahio-ism and everything like that. She doesn't know it, but I just hold her in such high regards.
Nice, very good answer. How about you, Sonya? Name a woman that has inspired you the most.
I think, there's three actually, and it's all within my family. So my sister Kendra, she was got her teacher degree, and I remember her sitting up late on her old-fashioned typewriter. I believe she was with your mom, Hazel Sekwun, at the Kausas teaching program they had back in the day. But I remember her working late at night and getting her work done to become a teacher. So they got their start there. And so I was like, you know what? I really want to be a teacher too. So my sister paved the way for us as a teacher. So we have my sister Martina as well, who is a teacher in our family. And who else? My sister Chooch. She was a barrel racer back in her day, and I always looked at her and admired her for barrel racing. I was like, I want to barrel race too. So I entered my first rodeo when I was 5 years old. I didn't have any cowboy boots, so I had these old black boots sitting in the closet, gum boots. So I wore those. An old raggedy hat I found in the closet. So I entered my first rodeo when I was 5, and that's where I got my debut. It's Bravia Rodeo.
Nice. That reminds me, before my very first wrestling match, I was waiting for my boots, and I didn't know if they were going to get there on time because I found out really like last second. So I ordered boots, and I wasn't sure if they were going to get there. So as a backup, I had an uncle that worked for the RCMP, and he gave me an old pair of his RCMP boots, and I took it to a shoemaker, and I got them cut and laced up just in case.
For wrestling.
For wrestling. Yeah, for wrestling, yeah. But thankfully, my boots got in on time, and I didn't have to wear those because they didn't look very good anyways. I would have looked stupid.
Right? But you work with what you have, right?
Absolutely. I had a plan. I was good to go if the boots didn't show up. I had a backup plan. I was going to make my match no matter what.
Yes. How old were you? How old were you then? Sorry. How old were you?
I was 24. I played football. Played football till I was 22, and then I started training for wrestling somewhere like the next year when it was supposed to be football season. I felt weird because I had nothing to do. So it was like, then I started up with the wrestling, and I had my 24 by the time I had my first match.
Wow.
Which is kind of late. Which is kind of late for lots of people, but you got to remember I did the football thing first. I went to high school, and then I played 5 years with the Regina Rams. So I kind of had that 5 years of football that kind of held me back here, but that's okay. I had a great time playing football, and I really built some good networks, and of course all of the benefits of playing sport as well, right? So a great time doing that. So Kerry, name a woman that has inspired you the most.
Probably the late Joanne Tom. She was my instructor when I was starting out, just this little res girl that didn't know anything about university, and she was the she was the teacher assistant for the English class, and she basically took me under her wing and talked me through the difficult parts and really helped me realize my potential and encouraged me. And yeah, she showed me that it could be done. She was an Indigenous woman, and she was raising a family, going to university, and she would check in on me like from time to time. And she is one person that I really admired for how kind she was. So that would have
Yeah.
to be Joanne Tom.
Yeah, I remember taking classes from her as well back in the Saskatchewan Indian Federated College. Did anybody else go there or just me? A Sekwun?
Yeah,
You
I
bet.
did too.
You did too, Sonia?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I
would've assumed-
graduated in 03. It was SIFC back in the day.
Oh, I did not know that. I did not know that. Okay, self-care can mean different things to different people. What does it mean to you, Sekwun?
Oh, I absolutely suck at self care. I kid you not.
I know.
You know, I'm like 2 hours or from anywhere. If anything, an hour from town. You know, when you take care of yourself, nails, all of that. You know, I'm like, I want to, and that's actually inspiring me to maybe establish something like that on my home serve. Everything and anything self care.
Yes, very good answer, and thank you very much to Nathan for joining us.
Hi, Nathan.
And we're done.
The Podfather.
Yeah, for sure.
He
Sonia,
taught me how to podcast, that Nathan. I hosted my first bingo because of him. I was like, Nathan, can you help me out?
bingo.
I had hosted a school bingo.
Nice.
Thank
How
you,
about-
Nathan.
How about for you, Sonia? What does self-care mean to you?
Self-care.
Hold on, Sonia.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, wait. Okay, self-care. I was talking about the aesthetics part of self-care. But when
Okay,
you think about the internal parts of self-care, meditation is huge in my life. It's major. Taking time for myself in that aspect, meditation is my self-care. Okay, Sonia, turning it over to you.
Okay.
Sonia, how about you? What is self-care
Oh
to you,
gosh,
Sonia?
self-care is like probably the most important thing for your spirit and your whole well-being. Sometimes we forget about that, but it's like so important, especially now during the pandemic. And I was going to the gym at 6:30 in the morning before work, and the gyms got all shut down. And you know what happened to my motivation? It just went downhill. Like there was no rodeos, no nothing to go to. Like my horses were sitting in the pasture. Like, oh my goodness. Like, and finally things are starting to. So I had to like get myself out of this slump. Like, oh my gosh, I was starting to get fluffy, and you know what? When you're not motivated, your body starts going through these physical changes as well. So your mental, emotional, spiritual well-being is affected. So it's so important to take care of your well-being, your self-care. So I started running again. I've been doing 5K a day, just because the gyms are closed. So I need to do that. My father-in-law, my sister-in-law, seen a bear at the Y just close down here. So I'm like, what? The gyms are closed. I can't even go for my jog. So I've been trying to figure out things now for my workouts. I do have a gym downstairs, but it's not the same as going to like a gym, you know?
It's not the same. It's not the same.
Yeah, it's not like the same element. Like you get your motivation and when you're at the gym.
Yeah.
For me.
And part of it is the routine as well for me, like packing my gym bag and taking the pre-workout and loading up my the post-workout shake and driving and listening to music.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you get there, send a few texts.
Take a selfie, like did it, done it. You know? So that kind of thing, like the gym, running, taking care of your physical well-being is so important, as well as smudging daily in the morning. Like, oh my goodness, starting your day off with gratitude, and there's so much things to be grateful for. Despite the pandemic and all that's going on in this world, but there's so much more things to be grateful for as well. What else do? I don't do any I get eyelashes done. That's about it. So those opened up June 1st. I was the first one in. I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want to be looking like this going into a podcast. So that I like getting my lashes done. But other than that, no nails, no pedicures, nothing like that. But self-care is so important for your mental well-being, spiritual well-being.
Yeah, for sure. And we're lucky here in Saskatchewan, that ever since the gyms opened up, they haven't shut back down.
Oh, wow.
So,
Another thing, horses. Oh my gosh.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's huge.
Horses are another part. I'm like, oh my God, I got working back with my horses now. So I'm also starting a program here on our ranch, working with the equine assisted learning. So I'm hoping to open that up pretty shortly. I'm just waiting for my insurance. So I want to have a women's empowerment day. I'm planning a women's empowerment day. So I think it's so important that we empower women, and especially now. And our women are so strong and resilient after coming from residential, all the history, like the historical events that happened in our lives, and the truths that are now coming out that we weren't aware of and never learned in school. Like I didn't know until I was a teacher of all these that happened, and I was doing a lesson one day on Indian residential school, and I asked the children, what would it feel like? What do you think you would feel like if you were taken away at 6 years old? And then one of my little students perked up and he said, well, I was taken away. And it's still like, the intergenerational effects that are happening within our communities. And it's like so important that we are there for our children as motivators, inspirers, and letting them know that anything can be achievable. And, So that's a lot. No. Self-care.
No, but it's huge though. Self-care is absolutely huge, and it's something that can't, like Sekwun, it's the same, like I'm the same way. You got to make it a priority, and you just got to follow through with it no matter what. And it's hard because we tend to put ourselves last, right? We try to help other people. How about you, Kerry? What does self-care look like to you? What does it mean to you?
I think prior to my amputation, I really didn't take too much, I didn't put too much stock into self-care, but having to deal with the amputation and the reality that brought to me, I really had to start investing in myself and learning to love myself and value myself. So I take myself out on dates. I go to dinner, I'll go to a movie I want to go to, and for the month of May, I did a May makeup challenge, and that was just something I needed to do while I recovered from a surgery. And I think it's really necessary for us to put ourselves first, because we're not good to anybody else if we're not strong and we don't love ourselves. And I learned that recovering from my first surgery, that it's so easy to fall into that depression. And I remember when I realized that I had to give up journalism and rethink my future. I think I stayed in bed for like 2 months. I just felt like such a failure. But I picked myself up and started concentrating on what I could do. And surprise, surprise, I ended up back into journalism. So it all came full circle, and it really depended on me investing in me.
Yeah, Kerry, I remember you posting that you would return to journalism, and I liked that right away. Like right away. I knew that you always belonged there, and I could tell just from I pay attention to what people post, and you could tell that you still had the passion and that you still wanted to do it. So I was hoping that you would have gotten an opportunity. So good for you. I'm really proud of you. And of course, we haven't directly mentioned the disability, so I wanted to also just point out that you've been a very good source of inspiration. And sometimes when I think to myself that things suck, I just realize that I should things aren't really as bad. Some people have some worse things that they've went through. So you've went through some really tough stuff, Kerry, and but you're always you persevere, and you always have a great attitude, and you're very talented, and you're doing what you do, you're doing what you love, and everybody's watching you do it. So glad you could be here to share your energy with us. I want to move into something a little bit heavier here. Do you believe in the concept of gender roles? Why or why not? Sekwun.
That is an amazing question. And I'm at the point in my life where there are no genders, really. I love everybody. And with gender roles, I love it I absolutely love it. And I actually anticipate it within my own family when somebody comes out, or should somebody come out. I just love you so much. I just love the ones that do, and the bravery and the courage that they experience. And just like gender roles, I'm like, what is that? You're you and I'm me. I love you. So that's my whole idea on that. Yeah.
Right. Sonya?
Yeah, I would have to agree with Sekwun as well. And I'm glad she's gone first, because then I just kind of like piggyback off her. Thank you. What she said. No, I totally believe like it's so brave and courageous, and we have more of it now coming out and using their gift of voice to spread awareness and of gender and roles, because back in the day, everyone was shamed, right? And so now everyone's using their gift of voice, and now everyone is coming together and supporting one another. And it's so important that we share and tell our stories, and it's a lot safer. Like, it feels a lot safer now, like, than it did before, because you know how it was.
Yes. For sure. Good answer. Kerry? Do you believe in the concept of gender roles? Why or why not?
I think, like, being a single mother, raising a son, I've had to take on that role and be the father figure for my son. And I've had relatives who have taken on the mothering role for their children, and they've single-handedly raised their children on their own, my male cousins and brothers and stuff like that. And so I really don't think there's anything that one gender is specifically designed and solely responsible for. So I think we can do each other's roles, and so I don't buy into that concept that men do this and women do this. So
yeah. And I'm not a great cook, like I burn stuff like every day.
I do my own cooking. I do my own cleaning. I always have. I love cooking, but it's different because like I really have a connection with my food, because it's so important with like everything, your health, like how you perform, how you feel, how you look. It's so important when it comes to your food. So it's important to put some effort into it.
Oh, and, it is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So when I'm making my stir fry chicken, it's like I went and bought myself a really good chef's knife and a nice big cutting board, and I cut it up into real nice small pieces. Yeah, I just love it. And you have to, because that's what you got. Because seriously, I eat chicken and rice and vegetables in a like. That's like staple of a diet. So you just try and find out how to do it good and make it taste good.
Exactly. And too, you become a team too with your partner. Like my husband was diagnosed with MS in 2019, and so his whole diet had to change to we were once hunters and gatherers off the land, and we were the most healthiest people on earth. And once the settlers came, they brought their foods, right? Their large sugar, flour. And so with all that came disease and
diabetes.
Yes, diabetes. And
obesity.
Exactly. So, he had to go, we had to change our whole diet again and go back to like the tradition, like living off the land and buying fruits, vegetables and proteins, wild meat and game. I'm not
Yeah.
a friend, not a fan of wild meat, but
I love wild meat,
Same here. I like moose. I like
yes,
moose.
moose.
caribou.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's so important, and you become a team, right? If I'm eating like, I don't eat cheeseburgers, but if I'm eating a cheeseburger in front of him, how is that going to make him feel?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. So it's a team, family unit, and we support each other with whatever that we have. So
Yeah.
that's our.
That's going to be the best approach. So I think what we'll do, is we'll switch the direction a bit because Kerry always has the longest time to think of an answer, and Sekwun always has the. So this time we'll go. Kerry, name one time when you were frustrated with the old boys club world.
Old boys club world.
The old boys club world.
Can you explain more on that question? Like elaborate more?
Yeah, so an old boys club establishment would be, I guess, generally where it's run by males, and the whole concept of an old boys club is that it's kind of protected, right? It's kind of protected. Maybe these are the people that make the decisions, or the influencers, or there's a generally that old boys club culture. Sekwun, do you know what I'm talking about by old boys club culture?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Kerry, do you know what I'm talking about?
Stuffiness, stuffy.
Okay. Well, how about let's let you guys answer first, and then maybe that'll clarify.
I'll go last.
Okay. Yeah. So Kerry.
Well, being a journalist, I've walked in many environments where I'm often the only female and often the only female of color. I walked into a newsroom where I was the only Indigenous person in its history. So I've had to deal with maneuvering into these spaces, and there has been times where I've not been taken seriously. Like, they expect that I'm just there to do some work for, like, I usually went to stories with a photographer, a non-Indigenous photographer, and it would be really funny. I would be the reporter, and a lot of politicians and a lot of men would address and talk not to me but to the photographer, and it was really frustrating to just to be overlooked and having to constantly fight that battle. And I was really fortunate that I had photographers that would say, hey, don't talk to me, I'm just a reporter, this is the journalist. And so we really need those allies there beside us that support us in what we do. And this also happened when I was covering Indigenous politics. I was often not seen as someone who should be covering this story, someone who doesn't have the knowledge or the know-how to understand these complex issues, and they would talk over me. And I learned to use that to my advantage. I use a lot of silence, and the thing with people is when there's silence, they want to fill that silence, so they would speak. And so I learned to adapt and get what I wanted while interfering in their space. They were comfortable not having someone like me, but it was necessary, and it was just part of my job, and so I approached it as such. And yeah, I faced a lot of that, actually.
Yeah, no, I could tell you did, and almost created that question for you from some of our conversations that we had. So, very good answer. Sekwun, how about you? Can you tell us a little bit about the Old Boys Club?
The Old Boys Club.
Yeah.
Just being an Indigenous as well, Nahio as well. I don't know. I just walk through life as if I were in ceremony, and when you're in ceremony, people, you don't know it, but people look at where you sit and where you're placed, and where you're placed sometimes is in high regard. you're walking through this, but you have a lot of responsibility. And with that, I've mentioned earlier Sylvia McAdam, and she speaks a lot on the Ufuchitausquo. And within a community, each community has the Ufuchitausquo, the warrior woman. So when you walk around with this mentality, and maybe it's something that I have to get over or not. I don't think so. It's just that a lot of people don't have the tobacco, for somebody to stand up and to do what it is she has to do to get things done, so to speak. And the ones that are put forward are the old boys club in that case. They're standing forward, they're speaking. They walk through walk, with their that means big mouth with no tobacco, right? So people have to start acknowledging the warrior woman in their communities and look for them. They're there. They're there. That's
Absolutely.
all I have
How
to
about
say
you,
about the
Sonya?
old boys.
That just gave me that just I don't know how to answer this question because my heart is racing right now because I want to say so much and I don't want to offend anybody.
Right,
know?
right. Yeah, no, I know. These are sensitive
That's it.
things,
That's
right?
it.
These are sensitive
That's
things,
no
and that's why we bring them up.
Yes.
That's the warrior woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people need
Yeah.
the tobacco. They need to find them. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I feel I guess
Like I'm just looking at this. I actually went and my phone. Sorry about that. I actually went and just did a quick Google search, like what's an old boys club. It's like what they said in there. They says an old boy network, also known as old boys club, can refer to social and business connections among former pupils of male-only elite schools. So, like, not exactly that, but kind of like that. Like, there's an inclusive group where somehow they're in a club, right? And I mean, it also happens to it happens to men as well. They also get excluded. I think it's more the concept of privilege of being the decision makers and the influential ones. And like think about hockey. That's a good one. That's a good one to think. The people that make the elite level teams aren't necessarily all just by talent. They might be there because of who their parents
connected
are.
to, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So let me talk about that for a moment. Well, even in I don't want to. I can't. I can't say how I'm feeling because it's like really, yeah. But I did experience that with my husband in hockey as well. With my daughter in hockey, my husband applied for coaching jobs like year after year after year, and has extensive hockey background, like played WHL pro hockey and everything.
Yeah.
But he was never looked at, never got the opportunity. And how do you get in? Like,
to coach where?
To coach the hockey. My daughter's
little kids hockey.
My daughter's minor hockey in the city.
Like the ones that are always looking for volunteers.
Yeah.
And what? See, like at practice, there's like a half a dozen parents that have their skates on to go out.
Yes, exactly. Sorry, we're full. Sorry, we're full. Like those kinds of answers. Yeah. So I don't know, like how do you get in? Like, what do you do to get in?
Right.
So that's the kind of like, that's what his whole mission is now. He's like on a mission for equality, teaching, educating diversity in sports and hockey. So with this big issue with Ethan Bear, like I think it's so needed, especially for children that are coming up and into this sport.
Absolutely, and that's a great segue for me as well. Thank you, Sonya. We were just starting the Indigenous Awareness and Reconciliation in Sport initiative with Carla Nordstrom here in Saskatchewan as well, and it was for the exact same thing because we saw what was going on. There was the racism with Ethan Bear, and you know what? It was like we're still sore from the last time, which wasn't even very long ago. So it's like, no, something's got to happen, and something's got to happen now. So seriously, me and Carlin were on the phone, and I was just like, we got to do this. And Carlin's already got a lot on his plate, and he's got the camps going and stuff. And but I sold him on the idea, and within a day we had an initiative developed and ready to go because we're passionate about the exact same thing. So I got to agree with you on that one. So everybody already answered about the old boys club here, I think.
That was a hard one. Wait,
yeah, it was. Yeah.
How dare you do that to me? You just put me on my spot. My heart was just racing, and I really wanted this. Yeah, it was really tough. Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely, that's a tough question, but it's good to bring those kinds of things up just to see what people think as well. It's a good sharing moment. Kerry, do you recall any biases or assumptions about you?
Working as a journalist, there was many times I've had to battle biases. I remember before, like I was at work maybe 1 or 2 years. I went to cover an event at this one organization, and the organization served a lot of marginalized people. So I walk in, and I was going to go sit down, and the guy that was hosting the news conference more or less told me to get out, and that they weren't seeing clients today, and so I had to make the decision of whether or not I was going to cover that story or just leave, because I still had assignments to do. I still had to fill the paper with content, and I wasn't going to let this person shoo me away like I didn't matter. So I did the story, and I did a damn good story, and I went back and I did a couple more stories, and this man apologized profusely every single time I seen him after that, and I didn't have much contact with them after, but it was just my way of proving to him that his biases were unfounded and unfair. And that's not the only time that I've been in situations. I've gone to news conferences, and the media people wouldn't give me news releases. They would give it to the photographer, but they wouldn't give me, because they assumed I wasn't in media.
Man, that's pretty tough stuff. I'm sorry that you had to put up with that. I was in a store one day. I think it was Walmart. Someone came up to me and asked me for help, so I just helped them. They thought I worked there, right? So I just went and helped them. Like, well, why not? They're like asking for help. I'm down to help. The biases and assumptions, Sekwun.
For the biases about me, I don't know. I know that within my own community there have been, and I'm not going to go there right now. But out there in the world, I'm not going to say real world, because in my community it is the real world. But out there, I don't know. I just I went about everything without even thinking about what people thought. I think because my mom and my dad, they just give me such a great, strong backbone. You're an Indigenous woman. This is where your bloodline is from. All of that strength, all of that absolute belonging from home. I was able to go out there and just not give a shit.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is what I do. I'm going to step forward. At the same time, you have tobacco if you want. if you want this warrior woman to move.
Yeah. Right on. I love that
Yeah.
spirit sequence.
At one point in time in history, this continent this spoke all indigenous languages, and that's just where I'm at. That's where I'm at within this country.
Love it. I love the energy. How about you, Sonya? Do you recall any biases or assumptions about you?
Well, being in the rodeo circuit, we do face a lot of that. Like, there's a lot of events that we go to that are non First Nation. Like, so we go out there, and I did experience 2 events that I do recall at One Barrel Race Jackpot down the road here, making racist stereotype about us First Nations, and I was sitting right behind him, and I don't know if he was doing that on purpose because I was sitting there, and but I let him know like how that made me feel and that he should not be saying stuff like that. And he was like centered out, and the organizer had him escorted out of the building.
Wow,
So
good.
yeah. And so when those experiences happen, like I stand up and I speak, because it's like not right, Yeah.
Right. You have to call them out. And it's good
Like-
to see that when they get called out, people are making them face consequences.
Exactly. And I think I get that from my mother. My mother's voice sometimes comes out, and I have to tame it every now and then so I don't offend like people. But yeah, so my mother went through residential school, strong, resilient woman, like made us who we are today. And my dad, the same thing. He was a chief for the longest time and
Yes.
had to face many ordeals within his lifetime there, and cancer as well, surviving cancer. So strong, resilient elders, and that's the blood that runs within our veins. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Chief Louis Taypotat, longtime chief, always very nice to me. Likes to talk about hockey, likes to talk about wrestling. Tell him I said hi the next time you see him.
Oh, I will. Yes.
Cool. Okay, let's go on to this one here, and we'll start with you, Kerry. Have you ever had issues of confidence or self-doubt?
There were times I was thrown into, as a general assignment reporter, I've been thrown into stories and covering areas that I had no knowledge about, like being thrown in to cover a court case because the ordinary court reporters were busy or tied up or in another court case, and having to go in there and just expected to know how to cover a court case. And those were the only times I felt self-doubt, but I just took an extra amount of notes and relied on my team to help me through it. And once you do it, it becomes old hat. But there's been times I've had a lot of self-doubt, walking into places where I'm the only brown person, like into the bear pit sessions at Suma and Sarm, and being the only Indigenous person there and having to go and cover my assignments and still feeling a bit out of place, but knowing that I had to do what I had to do. So yeah, there were moments. We all have moments. I think that's what keeps life interesting.
Do they think they're deadly? Why they call it a bear pit?
No, it's because everybody's there, and then they get to grill whoever's on in the front of the audience. So it's just random questions, and yeah.
Right on. We've got a shout out from Kakawistahau from Candace
Hey.
Waskes.
Hi, Candace.
Hello, Candace.
That's my hometown, home res.
Sekwun, have you ever had any issues of confidence or self-doubt?
What's popping for me is so I've taught in a federal system just about my whole life, or my whole teaching career, and what the federal system is on reserve. And I was sought out by a provincial principal, and she had asked me to principal at this one school, in this one school division, and I applied. She just had my back. She knew my ideals and my beliefs and everything around education, and so I applied. And then the day of that interview, I had a severe heat stroke from being out on the land with my students. It was unreal. Like today was plus 34. It was probably a plus 40 kind of day. And I went in there and they asked me in that interview about summative assignments and formative assignments. And I just looked blank. I was like, I just could not think, because of all of the heat that I went through. And again, if they had tobacco, they would have got a star principal at that time. Because that's exactly what they were looking for. And I was living it. I was being it. I was breathing it. And I was just right there. But, that's the way it goes.
Yes. How about you, Sonya? Have you ever had issues of confidence or self-doubt?
I think leaving the res, going to university, like, oh my gosh, this is the big city. I've never left the res before, and having to go out and, be on your own and away from your parents. That was a big step. And also moving out here to Calgary was another thing. I was like, oh my God, how can I survive without my parents? So it's like being independent and on your own and being the strong, resilient woman that you can be. And then our children are also looking up to us. And so that's what brings us our strength and resiliency as well. I think also working in an oppressive work environment where a lot of things go on, and I think if you begin to doubt yourself and your capabilities, and you lose your creativity and your passion, and you just I think that's where I was beginning to self-doubt as well. Barrel racing. I went down to Texas in February of 2020. And, little native girl from Kakawishtaha Res, Sutina, and going out down and exploring this big city of Texas. And, just being the only native barrel racer there, just you begin to like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? Like, can I do this? Like, do I belong here? What am I doing here? So I'm like, and we did it. And I was like so blessed with this beautiful animal and this horse that's carried me. And, oh my gosh, I'm going to get emotional.
I love when that happens. Me and Sekwun saw me and my friend Jordan last night both doing that. We're both big pro wrestlers and we're both bawling like babies talking about residential schools.
And he's like carried me through adventures which I've never would have experienced. So I'm like so blessed to have him, and we ended up making it to the semifinals performance round at the Fort Worth with, it was televised on the Cowboy Channel, and I had students watching and tracking my travels. So, it's you do have that self-doubt there, but you're there and you're like doing it, and that's like the greatest feeling is just overcoming those fears and doing what you're blessed with, those experiences.
Once you get started, right? Like there's all the nervousness and all the anxiety, but then it doesn't matter if you're in Sutina or in Texas, like that moment is that moment, right? And
exactly.
You get the same thing.
Yes, and they have all these big trailers and trucks there. I'm like, oh my goodness,
intimidating, right? Intimidating.
Yes. It is intimidating, and there's a superstar barrel racers there, and oh my gosh, I like. Oh.
So are there when you talk about the trail, are you talking like the production trailers, like a big semi?
The other rigs, like the
performers.
Like, they're big time,
Oh yeah, I bet you that's huge. You can't just pull in with Right. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, but it's okay, you know, you're there. It's what's in the horse trailer that matters.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, I've got one more that's just a one more on the heavy side, and then after that we'll bring it down a little bit as we taper down here. So, in your view, Kerry, what is the biggest barrier women in your field face?
Balancing home life and work, because you'll find that a lot of women, Indigenous women, take on the role as caregiver. Um, so, and that's not just to children. Often we have so much family responsibility. We have to shoulder a lot of responsibility for the rest of the family. Um, I'm always called upon because I'm the smart one. So there's a lot of things that I have to do um, with my family and help them, because that's what I'm supposed to do. I don't know. I lost track of the question. It's getting really
I do that too. I do that all the time too. No, we were just saying, in your view, what is the biggest barrier women in your field face?
Yeah, it was finding that balance between home
Right,
life
the
and work
balance.
life, because our home life never ends. Even when our children are adults, we still have a lot of responsibility within the family, and we have a lot of responsibility to the community, and just getting in that door, because I was the first Indigenous reporter hired in leader posts, 123 years, and it's a title I still hold, even though I left the place. They have yet to replace me. So I was the only full-time Indigenous reporter in that space, and so there's not a lot of opportunities for us to even jump into mainstream media. So
Very good. That's a good answer, Sequin. In your view, what is the biggest barrier women in your field face? Not what is the biggest face in your field. Can you hear me? Are you frozen?
I was frozen. Is that for me?
Yes. In your view, what is the biggest barrier women in your field face?
Ah, the biggest barrier Indigenous women in my field face in a non-Indigenous field, or not non-Indigenous sector. I guess it is that you're so good in the classroom all the time. The kids don't respond to anybody else for years. Well, what about giving that person an opportunity to be in leadership to teach everybody else how it's done? And so with that barrier and being Indigenous, it's huge, especially in the education field. And then you have to work under people that are non-Indigenous, that hold an Indigenous title, is a barrier. And
Hey.
it's huge. Yeah. You come to me again, you bring that tobacco, you'll see magic. But
Hmm. Yeah, and I think too, no matter how many years of experience, you have to hold that master's paper in order for your voice to be heard too. So, you know,
Yeah, for sure. Sonia, what about with you? What do you think is the biggest barrier women in your field face?
well, that's what I said.
Oh, that was your answer. Okay,
I
yeah,
just
okay.
said it. Yeah, I think I've been working for over 18 years as a teacher, over 21 years in education, and I have no intention of going for my master's, and
Right.
the experience that you create throughout all these years, and with each child, it's like each class is like such a learning experience, and it just feels like you need that master's certificate in order for your voice to be heard.
Right.
My
What's that?
my
I didn't say nothing.
Oh, hold on.
Shut my door.
Yeah, so like, I'm so grateful for the children that have come into my lives to like teach me, like they're the teachers as well, and the experience. So I feel like, I think that's a barrier too,
Yes.
within our communities.
Yes, for sure. Okay, so those ones were all pretty heavy. We're going to shift gears for a little bit as we wind down towards the end of the show. We're getting close to 9 o'clock, so I'll just fire out some quick answers here. So we'll start with Sonya now, because Sonya hasn't been up first, and we'll go first. So we'll go Sonya.
Yikes!
Okay, here we go. Would you rather be rich or famous? You have to choose one.
Oh gosh. Okay, so I need money to barrel race, so I need to be rich.
Okay. Sekwun, what about you? Would you rather be rich or famous?
Rich in abundance.
Rich in abundance? No, it's got to be rich in money.
Rich.
Money,
rich.
money. Capitalism, money.
Rich. It's an energy.
How about you, Kerry?
Probably rich, because I'd be able to do a lot more things. I'm held back by finances a lot.
Gotcha.
I'm already famous.
Yeah, I'm famous enough. I got enough friends. I got Facebook. Give me the money. Show me the money. Sekwun, what was the last book you read?
I read The Orenda.
The Orenda. Sonya, what was the last book you read?
Oh my gosh, Aaron Hernandez.
Aaron, the concussion one.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. I gotta admit, I watched the first part of the Will Smith movie, and I stopped it. Because I gotta need some time. I need some time. I've had several concussions. Does your husband also? Because a lot of us older athletes, because the concussions is a newer thing. And any of us from over 40, like the concussions weren't a thing back then. Is your husband the same?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah, exactly. Headaches and too, like the MS. So it's. We don't know if it was from the concussions or, so.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. How about you, Kerry?
In My Moccasins by Helen Knott.
In My Moccasins by who?
Helen Knott.
Helen Knott. Okay. Sekwun, how many cups of coffee do you drink a day?
2.
2.
2
Sonya, how many
morning.
cups? Sorry. Sonya, 2?
2.
Kerry, how many cups?
1 hot, 1 iced.
Nice. Sonya, how many hours of sleep do you get on an average night?
8.
8. Sekwun, how many hours of sleep on an average night?
6.
Kerry.
6.
Oh. Girls.
Sekwun, what was the most memorable season finale you've ever seen?
Oh my gosh. The Dutton Ranch. What is that? You guys know what I'm talking about? The season finale.
Is that Yellowstone?
Yellowstone? Yes.
Oh, yeah. I quit watching it after that cop was with those 2 guys in the horse trailer.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
At that rodeo event. Yeah, I quit watching it after that. I was like, what the heck?
I did not see it. I'm gonna have to watch it.
Sorry, guys.
Sonya?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember watching a series. I don't even have time to watch TV.
Nope. That's cool. If you have no answer, that's cool. If you have no answer, it says a lot, right? Just don't really watch a lot of TV or don't commit to a program. Don't want to commit. You're a YouTube person, aren't you?
Yes, you too.
Kerry, Kerry, what about you?
I stopped watching TV in 2008.
Very good. That is huge. A lot of people don't watch cable. So here's a bonus one. Who here, by show of hands, do you have cable? Yes or no?
Oh my gosh! I was just thinking this today. I was gonna shut off my cable because we don't even watch TV here.
Right?
We're outside all day,
And everything is an app nowadays too. So there's not a lot of people have cable. Okay, here we go. Kerry, who's your celebrity crush growing up?
Oh.
Growing up, or my celebrity crush now?
Growing up.
Oh.
For this one.
Probably Mario Lemieux.
Mario Lemieux, the hockey player. Sonya
Wow. Marky Mark.
Marky Mark. Hey, my sister. You guys must be around the same age. Sekwun.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. Okay. So for all of you guys that just mentioned your celebrity crush, are they still hot? Kerry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sonya.
Yes.
Mushroom is already gone.
Mush 'em hot.
Much them hot. Okay. Have you ever regifted a Christmas gift you have received from previous years, Sonya?
Yes.
What was it?
Mugs.
Mugs. Right. There you go. Kerry, how about you?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Sequin?
No.
Ooh, the
Yeah,
only
you
one.
have. Yeah, you have. Who hasn't?
All right. With that, I just wanted to go around and ask everybody where the fans can find you, where they can keep up with you, what's going on with you. Sequin, where can people find you if they want to hear what's going on with the Spring Spirit podcast?
All right. You can listen to me on 7 different podcast platforms. Basically, anywhere you can find a podcast, you can find Spring Spirit Podcast, including Spotify. You can reach me on my website, springspiritpodcast.ca, and Anchor if you're on there. And I do have a
Nice.
YouTube channel.
Nice. As Sequin, this one's for you. I gotta go, hoo! Kerry, where can people catch up with you and what's going on with you next?
Right after, well, Indigenous History Month, as soon as I get clearance to go back to work, I have a whole lot of stories that I want to start producing. Right now, I'm doing a lot of social media posts. You can follow me on TikTok, Kerry Berry XOX, same on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm a little more selective, but I'm very public on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Awesome. Good to hear. Sonya, what's up with you and where can people find you?
Well, I just created my business website, DH Ranch 44, where we offer equine assisted learning, barrel racing, day rides as well. Also on Facebook, my personal page, we started a family podcast. So my daughter will be posting a junior barrel racing podcast shortly. So that I'm also on TikTok. My husband got me into TikTok. TikTok, you don't stop. That's why I don't watch TV.
Awesome. Well, I just want to take this opportunity to thank all three of you ladies for joining me here on the debut edition of Ladies Night. I hope that you guys will come back and join me at some other point in the future. I also want to thank all of the fans for joining me here at the Wavell Starr Show. The last time, the next time, and we will see you another time. However, in the meantime and in between time, that's it. Another edition of the Wavell Starr Show. Bye-bye now.
Thank